Hello, friends, and welcome to a special edition of the Liberty Weekly podcast. I'm your host, as always, Patrick McFarlane. And you may ask, Patrick, why is this a special episode? Well, it's special because my friend and colleague Keith Knight at the Libertarian Institute, managing editor there, has just released his first book. On July 4th, it came out. It is titled The Voluntaryist Handbook, a collection of essays, excerpts, and quotes. It is currently number 1 in the anarchism section on Amazon. So very excited, very proud of Keith and this accomplishment. This piece was a long time coming, and it's really cool to see it in print and on Amazon and doing really well. The other reason why I'm excited is because Keith was gracious enough to include one of my articles in his book. It's chapter 10 in the book, and I believe this is the first time that I've been published in print. And it's really exciting for me. So here it is on Amazon. I'm going to put up a quick link to the Amazon page where you can buy the book. It'll be libertyweekly.net/Keith Knight. Keith, Knight, and you can find his book there. So the other place I think I've been published, my essays are included in this book here that's also on Amazon, Freedom on the Front Range, a year of selected articles from the Front Range Voluntaryist from 2017 to 2018. So I had a bunch of essays, law school essays that were published in that book. But yes, Keith Knight. So in this episode, I'm just going to be reading the article, chapter 10 of Keith's book, the article that I submitted and that was published in his book, alongside some really awesome names. So we'll just do a quick overview of the book here. Chapter 10, so you can see Voluntaryist Handbook. He also included a free PDF copy that's up on Odyssey right now, and it got 437 views, which is really cool. So I love the font here that they put together, but let's just breeze through the list of articles that he's included. Table of contents, What is the Free Market by Murray Rothbard, One Moral Standard for All by Sheldon Richmond, Coercivists and Voluntarists by Donald Boudreau, Ph.D., Three Thought Experiments by Jason Brennan, Ph.D., Do We Ever Really Get Out of Anarchy? Alfred Kuzan, Ph.D., Chapter 6, What It Means to Be an Anarcho-Capitalist by Stefan Kinsella, J.D., 6 Questions for Status by Stefan Molyneux, M.A., Chapter 8 is The Argument for Free Thinkers, Morality versus Efficiency by Walter E. Williams, Ph.D., Chapter 9 is Social Cooperation, again by Sheldon Richmond, our Libertarian Institute colleague. And Chapter 10 is my chapter, The Central Banking Scam by Patrick McFarlane, J.D. Chapter 11, Homelessness, Regulation, and the Minimum Wage. Chapter 12 by the same author, The Right and Wrong of Compulsion by the State, by Auberon Herbert. Chapter 13, War, Peace, and the State by Murray Rothbard. 14 is No Treason by Lysander Spooner. 15 is How Private Governance Made the Modern World Possible by Edward Stringham, Ph.D. Chapter 16, The Misplaced Fear of Monopoly by Tom Woods, Ph.D. 17, Privatize the Roads, Walter Block, Ph.D. Chapter 18, The Utilitarian Case for Voluntarism by Danny Duchamp. Chapter 19, Marxist and the Austrian Class Analysis by Hans-Hermann Hoppe. Okay, I'm not going to read all these chapters, but you kind of get the... there's like 40 or 50 essays in here, so you kind of get the gist of the quality of essays and articles that are included here, and I think it's a huge honor for me to have my name be included. And chapter 32, Pete Quinones is also in there. So Tell Me, Do You Hate the State? Also Lou Rockwell, Bob Murphy, Larkin Rose, Henry Hazlitt, John Hasness, James Corbett, Robert Higgs, Clint Russell. So a lot of really awesome names. Michael Humer is in there, Bastiat, Jeff Deist, Shane Hazel. So this is a huge, awesome collection of essays that we got here. So let's go to my chapter 10 here. Central Banking Scam. This is an article I wrote that was published at the Libertarian Institute in June of 2021. And this is my pop explanation of the evils of central banking. So it's nothing, I'm not, I don't have a PhD in economics or anything like that, but I did go through, and this was based off my early studying of Murray Rothbard. So I included a lot of the things that had formulated my understanding of central banking. So, central banking scam, Patrick McFarlane. Oddly enough, the one question that finally brought me to anarchy was, where does money come from? It was perplexing to me that the answer to such a simple question could be so simple, yet so complex, and moreover, so absurd. So, where does money come from? I found that the short answer is that new money is created by either one, artificial bank credit expansion through the fractional reserve lending process, or two, the central bank prints it. It then uses the newly printed money to buy assets from private banks and adds said assets to its balance sheet. In both instances, new money is conjured, being created out of thin air and injected into the economy through various means, thus eroding the purchasing power of those not privileged enough to enjoy the new money. And just to poke fun at myself at the beginning, I say, I found that the short answer is, but I guess you could say that's short, one long paragraph. But anyways, as Murray Rothbard explained in the case against the Fed, the counterfeiting process is enabled through the institution of central banking. Here's the quote. The central bank has always had two major roles. One, to help finance the government's deficit, and two, to cartelize the private commercial banks in the country so as to help remove the two great market limits on their expansion of credit, on their propensity to counterfeit, a possible loss of confidence leading to bank runs, and the loss of reserves should any one bank expand its own credit. For cartels on the market, even if they are to each firm's advantage, are very difficult to sustain unless government enforces the cartel. In the area of fractional reserve banking, the central bank can assist cartelization by removing or alleviating those two basic free market limits on banks' inflationary expansion credit. Central banking, and this is the end of the quote, so this is me speaking again. Central banking is incredibly damaging to the economy. In short, the central bank's manipulation of interest rates sends false signals to businessmen, causing malinvestments in high-order capital goods, quote, which could only be prosperously sustained through lower time preference and greater savings and investments. That's Mises' quote, I believe. So the boom signifies this period of malinvestment. Therefore, the resulting bust that rocks and shocks the nation is the market clearing out the wastes and errors of the boom. Of course, the common people, seduced by the false promises of a booming economy, do not receive a bailout, as do the private friends of government. The result is a massive transfer of wealth from the people and into the coffers of the state and their private sector cronies. And bonus points to anyone who knows where I stole "rocks and shocks the nation" from. Yes, that is a Wu-Tang Clan quote. I believe it's from, let's see. Well, I'll think of the song that's from. But it is Wu-Tang Clan, yes. So not only is the entire institution of central banking, I think it's Protect Your Neck that's from. Not only is the entire institution of central banking steeped in counterfeit and fraud, but it also encourages irresponsible behavior. Central banking gives the illusion of pooled resources where scrupulous toil and savings have created none. Therefore, artificially cheap credit encourages high time preference throughout society, get something for nothing today and shift the cost to future generations. An additional driver of this high time preference behavior is inflation. Inflation is the increase in the money supply that occurs when the central bank prints more money. Inflation is usually signified by rising prices. From the point of view of consumers, why save money when it will be worth half as much in 10 years? Aside from siphoning wealth from the people and encouraging high time preference behavior, central banks facilitate one of the vilest operations of the state apparatus. In Chapter 4 of End the Fed, Ron Paul identifies this most destructive consequence of central banking. Quote, "It is no coincidence that the century of total war coincided with the century of central banking. When governments had to fund their own wars without a paper money machine to rely upon, they economized on resources. They found diplomatic solutions to prevent war, and after they started a war, they ended it as soon as possible." And that's a quote from End the Fed. To better explain how the above process occurs, this is me again, consider a simple example. And this example is from What Has Government Done to Our Money by Murray Rothbard. Or no, it's from The Mystery of Banking, rather. So if you remember this fable, it's one of my favorite little things that Rothbard has written about. And it really makes you... I included it because it really puts it in layman's terms that you really kind of understand what the process is. The basic process. I mean, it gets more complicated and the processes get a bit more involved, but it's basically the same thing every time. So the king of Ruritania decides that he does not care for the king of neighboring Moldavia. In preparation for his invasion of Moldavia, the Ruritanian king requisitions of his finance minister an accounting of the royal treasury. Alas for the king, the royal coffers are bare. He may not be able to finance his new war. In response, the king issues a royal decree. All the official coinage of the realm is to be recalled for minting. Once the currency is collected, the king melts the coinage down, removes 10% of the silver content in each coin, and replaces it with nickel. The king then remints the new coins and fills the royal coffers. Fills the royal coffers the 10% surplus of new coins. Suddenly, the king's coffers are full, and the people are 10% less wealthy. This process is called debasing the currency. Since the invention of the printing press, the state has been able to replace hard money with paper deposit tickets, untether the hard reserves to those deposit tickets through legislation, and purchase assets with printed deposit tickets. The process becomes a bit more evolved, but money is created through the magic of the lending process. Poof, in other words. With the above answers in tow, it became clear to me that the central banking institution lies at the very core of the state apparatus. Without monopoly rights to print fiat currency, many of the state's most destructive endeavors would be logistically impossible. This newfound knowledge of this immoral, not immortal, you could say immortal, I suppose. This newfound knowledge of this immoral practice hardened my natural skepticism of the state. Even more perplexing than the answers I found regarding central banking were the questions that they evoked. How is the truth so well hidden from everyone? Why does no one even think to ask where money comes from? Why didn't we learn about something so important in school? And if a question this profound is so well hidden, is it deliberate? And if so, why? What else is being hidden from us? If something so important is. So that's the end of the chapter. That's chapter 10 of Keith Knight's new book. You can see some of my notes here. I cited James Corbett's Century of Enslavement documentary because that also was very formative in the beginning of my experience with anarchy. So yeah, well, go and check out Keith's book. I'll include a free copy, this free PDF in the show notes page. And there's a link here to buy the paperback version of the book. So, all right, well, just shout out my membership website to all you members out there. Thanks for help making this possible. I did a write-up as well of Keith's new book at my membership website, libertyweekly.club. You can find it there. Subscribe in the top right corner. There will be a button here in the bottom right corner as well, but you can see in the top right, there's a subscribe button. And you can get access to free posts like the one that I included today, writing up Keith's book. And if you sign up for the paid premium version and become a premium member, you'll get early access to all of my articles, preprints of those articles, bonus episodes at least twice a month, and a live stream every third Thursday of the month where you can join and watch the exclusive live stream. And I will be trying to have Kyle Anzalone and Connor Freeman, maybe Keith as well, join me for those premium live streams for you supporting members, you premium members out there. So libertyweekly.club, Patreon as well, but libertyweekly.club. All right, go buy Keith's book. Thanks, everybody. Congratulations, Keith. Peace.